You've got parents working 2 and 3 jobs. You have 16 kids, 4 wives. You're a salesman. How do you handle all of the bills?
He doesn't.
He doesn't? Oh.
We all work.
Oh, you all work.
Yeah,
it's a team effort. So each of you are working moms.
Well,
right,
yes,
working
at
moms
home.
right now. I'm looking for a job.
And I work at home.
And we
a
say,
function even.
and we say, okay, so this person has a need, and something gets switched, and sometimes it's just like you have to wait.
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, and I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Well, it's June 5th, and we know that sometime in the next couple months, we're going to find out when the season 19 of Sister Wives will come out, and there will be a lot of fake storylines. In fact, McKelty was recently on a Patreon talking about how she had to do some filming, and during the filming had to wear a fake bump for her pregnancy because she's sitting down to talk about her pregnancy and she's already had the babies and the babies are like over a year old. So they're already doing fakery, and if you want to know the truth, her birth will not be revealed in the series because they filmed without permission at the hospital and the nurses involved did not consent to have their faces on camera and did not want to be a part of the show. So they wasted a lot of money to do a shoot that will never be seen. Regardless, with the season coming up, there's all kinds of questions about what the storyline is going to be because we already knew that part of the season had already been filmed before the tragic passing of the 25-year-old Garrison Brown, who has now been passed away since March 4th. With his passing, there was like a year that we still needed to get to before that happened. So it'll be kind of strange to watch on the back end about what happens because we know the Sister Wives is generally 2 years behind, which is actually very weird. And I say this only from looking at other networks, but I know not all of you like Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I get it. But here, she just finished filming a series in May, and they're already showing it this week. So there's absolutely no reason why Sister Wives needs to be this far behind. There really isn't. I don't know why it's so far behind. I don't know why, if they're going to film, they don't just catch up to real time and stop dragging things out. Because half the reason people weren't tuning in or stopped tuning in is because they knew about storylines way before. And with season 19, it seems improbable that it'll revolve around Garrison because they haven't even had Christine meet David yet. We haven't seen their courtship. We haven't seen Gwendolyn's engagement party where apparently Kody and David meet. We haven't seen some other blowouts that happened in the family. There was like so much that had already been filmed. And then as soon as the news hit about Garrison, it was suddenly, no, now they're going to film the aftermath for season 19. Frankly, I don't think Garrison will show up on screen in terms of like his passing until next season, unless they scrap a whole year's worth of filming, which seems unlikely given how expensive it is to make a reality show. With that said, there's been some discussion about what Cody and Robyn are going to do because they are in Flagstaff currently. And Kody is not one to have a lot of money because he lost 3 of the wives. Janelle, Mary, and Christine have all left him. Christine is now remarried. Janelle is half-time living in Flagstaff, and the other half-time she is in North Carolina. And Mary now lives in Utah. And Kody's dream about living in Flagstaff revolved around having access to everyone's income, which he doesn't have anymore. So there's been questions about if he's going to move. On Patreon, McKelty has been talking for several months about how her dad wants to move. And I'm starting to wonder if one of his decisions might be to move back to Las Vegas or somewhere in the area because he opened a business recently and formed it in Las Vegas, which seems a little bit strange. There could be some tax purposes here. There could be income tax purposes. I don't know if they don't have income tax. I don't know if it's cheaper to have businesses registered in Nevada than it is in Arizona. But it just seems very weird that the two of them would open a business in Nevada when they live in Arizona, and it's only registered to the two of them, nobody else. It's different than their previous businesses, which had been registered to all of the women. It was different than their other businesses when they actually had business partners. This is just their business with no business partners. So the question is, are they preparing to move potentially to Las Vegas or to Nevada? And despite their claims that they needed to get away from Nevada because of its danger, are they considering going back there now after the fact that everyone has left Flagstaff? Well, let's dive into it. All right, so generally speaking, the Browns have been pretty transparent with their business filings, and they usually use their actual home address for their filings. They also typically don't hide their names, and they use their own names for registered agents and for the business records in terms of who the officers are. This actual business started out the exact same, and then it switched, which again has me wondering if there's changes happening or moves happening, because they initially had it registered to their address in Flagstaff, but it's been changed. So in December of 2023, Kody and Robyn formed a company called RBHK LLC. I have no idea what it means. I have zero idea what it's registered for. It just is a registered LLC. I can't get the access to the actual recorded documents because in the state of Nevada, in order to access the business records, you actually have to be a member of the business. So in terms of like what the business is, I don't know. In terms of what it's classified as, I don't know. But here's where it gets interesting. They used their attorney that they used for their divorce and for the adoption, the guy that we saw on the show. He's the registered agent for this, okay? Well, initially it was registered as a Nevada business. His attorney in Nevada was serving as the registered agent, and their address was listed as their Flagstaff home. Cut to after Garrison passes away, they changed the address to a P.O. box in Arizona in Flagstaff, and they changed the registered people on the officers from Cody and Robyn to a blank trust called Whitestone Trust. So what this means, and this isn't unusual, sometimes public figures don't want their names to appear on business records, right? They don't want documents to be searchable. They don't want things to be tied to them so that you don't know that this is their business if they're selling something to you or if you're interacting or engaging with this business. This is also done on properties sometimes. So if you're going to buy a property, you might put a registered agent or someone that's listed as the company like member as a trust. Now in this case, this trust doesn't own property in Nevada. They don't own property in Flagstaff. They don't own property in Sedona or Maricopa or in Scottsdale where they're traveling all the time. So it's not a property holding trust. The address is a P.O. box at a UPS store in Flagstaff. The change to the trust could very well be, given the fact that Garrison died, they're trying to be as conscientious as possible for division of assets, to ensure that there are rules for how the company is managed, how the assets held within this company are held. It could also be that they might be starting to put some of their own assets into a trust so that in the event that something happens to them, it's easier to divide, because trusts have rules, they have trustees, they have beneficiaries, they have designations for how trusts are to be divided, how property is supposed to be divided, who gets what percentage goes to who, what's held in a trust. So for whatever reason, they've placed a business in a trust. I see this most commonly, the Duggars do this a lot when they buy property. They put a lot of their property LLCs in trusts. Anyways, so they've done a couple things. They had their names on it originally. They originally had their address in Flagstaff listed as their business address, and Kody and Robyn were listed as the people associated with the business. Now it's a P.O. box in Flagstaff, and it's just this blanket Whitestone Trust as it is. This isn't the first time Kody has held businesses or had businesses outside of the state of Arizona while living in Arizona. For instance, he and his friends opened a business called U.S. Tactical, which was supposed to be some sort of gun company. Ultimately, that company dissolved, and the change in how he was doing his gun sales has changed due to some laws, and the kinds of products he was selling he can no longer sell. He was never actually a registered dealer. He never had a license, and the kinds of weapons he was selling were unregistered and untraceable. They were like kits that you can build, and those are no longer, you can't sell those now unless you have a license to sell according to a new law. And in order to even sell like weapons for profit as a business, you also have to have a license with the ATF. Now the law just went into effect, so please don't come for me. I'm just going off of I'm just spitballing off of the top of my head of what I recall. But I know the new law impacts Kody, and I know it impacts him because of what I saw happen to his business, how his one business dissolved, this new business pops up. I don't know if this business is intending to be for guns. I don't. That's what Kody has been doing for years. I have no idea if that's the plan. But what is curious is that prior to that, when he was doing the LLC with his friends, it was in Utah because his friend Nathan lived in Utah. In this case, neither Robyn nor Kody live in Nevada, so it doesn't make sense to have a business based out of Las Vegas unless there's some intention that they have to move there and become residents, or that they plan to travel there because the business is based out of Nevada. I suspect, given the fact that Kody was recently tweeting about how he's, stuck with capital gains and he's cash poor, I suspect, and this is just me, again, spitballing, that he, as soon as he can, is likely going to sell his properties. I see them moving out of Flagstaff because it's too expensive. This has been something that McKelty and Tony have said over and over and over again. It's too expensive. They can't afford it. Kody needs a storyline. I could totally see Kody being like, I want to start fresh by going back to the place that I moved everyone away from. I also think that Kody is not engaged or a fan of Flagstaff. I think it's too small town for him. I think that he had been living in Vegas, which is a very busy cosmopolitan city, and moving to a town like Flagstaff, which is not a small town, but it's certainly not a big town, and it's definitely more of a remote town. They are always leaving Flagstaff to do anything. They're constantly traveling to Scottsdale to go shopping. Kody goes to Vegas all the time. He's constantly seen at the casinos, shopping, at the malls out there, doing stuff, going to shows there. So if he was going to move anywhere, I would see him moving to the area where Scottsdale, Arizona, that area, but it's so hot. I don't know if they'll do that. Or he moves back to Vegas because then he's closer to St. George by his friends at the church, and he's back to where Robyn's closer to her family. But I do take this as a sign that they possibly are thinking about getting ready to move. Why they're hiding it the way it is, I don't know. The only thing I can think of, like I said, is that they made this change after Garrison died. And so I think it might be done in this case so that everything is protected in the event that something happens to either one of them. And a death in a family is not uncommon for people to start to think about their own mortality and make sure that they're having their, inheritance and their properties and their wills and trusts set up so that if something does happen, it's not difficult for division and all of it when that happens. Will that appear on the show? Maybe, but I can't see them staying in Flagstaff long term. Now, this is not to say, this is all just my speculation, but it makes sense given what's happening with the business. The houses are not for sale in Flagstaff. The property is not for sale in Flagstaff. So at this point, nothing's happening. But I don't think that means that they wouldn't possibly move soon. So what are your thoughts? We're getting close to the 7-year itch. Kody likes to move every 7 years. 2025 will be the 7-year itch. Will he move? Is he going to move to Nevada? And moreover, what is this mysterious business that they open? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. As always, it's sneaky as hell because it's Kody and Robyn. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click on the bell so you never miss a video. Bye, guys.